What's up, y'all? I am back for another video. Today, we're going to be putting together my top 10 worst movies of 2023. And I gotta say, there were some really bad ones this year. And, I'm happy to at least I was able to come up with 11 good movies this year. So we'll be talking about that on Sunday. But today, man, it's like Hollywood. What the fuck, man? You know, there's definitely just the disappointment in some of these. It's like, what the fuck, Hollywood? Some of these actually had potential. Obviously, there's some ranking changes. Like, yeah, Barbie was bad. That's another one, but I didn't even want to mention it because I guess really quick I'll talk about it. It's not good, but it didn't piss me off. It was a one watch movie. I didn't really think it was gonna be good in the first fucking place. So um, I guess before I go into the list, I do have like two honorable. One of them is technically a TV show, but I do want to rant on it a little bit because if I'm going overall most disappointing, it was The Continental. This show could have been really good. The idea of a John Wick spin-off show about the Continental and going more into the ins and outs of it, they didn't do that. Mel Gibson, who that was one of the things that sold me on it was Mel Gibson, and it's like, nope, he's barely in the episodes. He has one good moment in the end of like I think it was the second episode, and it's like they didn't do shit with him for the rest of it. It's like, what the fuck? Why even have Mel Gibson? It just seemed like you just wanted to say you have him, but then we don't want to use him because I don't know. Terribly mis fucking cast Winston. It made no sense. I didn't need to see young Winston, to be fucking honest. You should have just made the show about Mel's character running the fucking Continental. And then maybe like an assassin character you could have followed. But that's it. But no, they have you follow like some random, like there's a cop chick you follow when, for a while, when she was on fucking screen, I felt like I was watching a different fucking show. Um, this black brother and sister who cares? A random assassin guy who he was kind of the coolest one of the bunch, but such a disappointing show. Like, just I was so expecting more from it, and the only positive I have is that a good soundtrack. I mean, they played "If You Leave Me Now" by Chicago, but it's like I could listen to that on fucking YouTube. I don't need to watch that on the movie. I mean, watch the whole show again to listen to that. It was such a disappointment. So yeah, that's my honorable mention in terms of that. But in terms of an honorable mention, that's a movie. Fucking um 65. This is a movie that I was really hyped because I'm a dinosaur fan and a Jurassic Park fan. I was like, finally a big name dinosaur movie that's not Jurassic Park, and it was R-rated. So I was like, okay, and it just didn't deliver. It's not Adam Driver's fault. It was the whole story. If you wanted to do, because I guess they were trying to follow Last of Us, but at least Ellie and Joel, the first one, there's a you follow their relationship because there's a dialogue. You don't have that in this because he's with some girl who's mute for plot reasons, and the dinosaurs aren't really that impressive looking. They look more like fucking aliens, and it was boring. It was it felt like good premise, but they never really explored it. I think if you had just tweaked the story around, maybe he's in a squad and they have to. If you want to do the little girl, but having her be mute was dumb. And I honestly don't think she should have even been a little girl. You could have even, because the whole point is like, maybe you even have it just be her daughter, his daughter. At least there's that, and you could maybe do a father-daughter relationship. I wouldn't fully still love it because I do think there needs to be, no body count, but it was overall just this giant disappointment. It's not the worst movie ever, but it is definitely disappointing just because of there was so much there, and we could have had a great non Jurassic Park dinosaur movie, like a big in a big at least name. Like, that's, has a little bit of money behind it, and they just dropped the ball. And I don't know. Hopefully, maybe one day I'll get a big non Jurassic Park Dino movie that's actually has some money behind it. Maybe one day. But anyway, let's get into my list. But my number 10 is The Marvels. The Marvels was this was one I knew was gonna be bad, but it also, because it didn't piss me off, and the MCU I knew was just never gonna be good. Like, again, the MCU at one point was decent, but I knew they were never gonna be that good again. So I didn't really have any hopes of this movie being good. It's still bad though. I figured still mention it just because the writing is atrocious, the CGI is atrocious. It is crazy. Like, it's funny because how long this came out, which is going to be, obviously this movie's going to be on my number one. It's going to be my number one of my best movies of the list, Godzilla minus one. How much better that looks compared to this. Like, the fucking CGI looks terrible. A lot of these movies, this movie has the whole floating head fucking problem, where they're like, the costume clearly looks fake as fuck and their head's just floating. Iman Vellani, I do actually feel bad for, because I actually think, one, she's actually a really nice person who doesn't attack the fans. Like, when she was even asked about, like, the box office, she didn't say, "Oh, the fans are racist." She didn't do no typical fucking Hollywood speak. She actually, just said, "Hey, that's not my department. Talk to Bob Iger about that." She actually gave an answer that's, a good answer. But also, it's just she straddled with such a shit character. I'll say is a bit better than the comics version, because at least she's likable, but the character still sucks because all she is a fucking Captain Marvel fangirl, and just they're never gonna evolve her character past that, and that's what this was. So it was annoying to watch, but she at least emoted the most. So I guess she's the best of the three. Monica Rambeau is just fucking there. The fucking, oh my god, how bad they make Professor Beast, I meant to say Beast, look, because you see him later in the movie in the credit scenes, and Beast looked terrible. Like, it is crazy because, like, X3 was 2006, not a good movie, but Beast looked amazing in that movie, and that was fucking 2006. And in 2023, you can't make Beast look good. And just the villain was atrocious. The whole plan was atrocious. It was just very badly done movie. But it's not the worst. That's why, and it didn't piss me off because I didn't have expectations that it was going to be. I mean, the first Captain America Marvel. I meant to say Captain Marvel. First Captain America is great. Captain Marvel isn't good. So anyway, move on. My number 9. I'm so fucked up right now. My number 9 is Spy Kids Armageddon. This was one that when I first even just heard they're gonna reboot fucking Spy Kids, like, what the fuck? Because I liked Spy Kids 1 and 2. Granted, objectively, they're not great movies, but at least 1 and 2 were fun. Even 3, not good, but it has moments. And then there was that really bad one with fucking Jessica Alba. Yeah, I was right. Jessica Alba. This one is even worse. This one is like the CGI is terrible. The acting is terrible. It looks like a fucking home film. It looks worse than the other movies. At least the other earlier movies had the like cheesiness to kind of carry it, that even the bad CGI you can kind of get past. The CGI in this is atrocious, and there's no excuse in 2023. And the Zachary Levi, he's just basically playing Shazam in this movie. The villain was cartoony. The final act was some of the worst shit I've ever seen in terms of CGI. Yeah, this one was really bad. This one didn't have a chance though. It never did. I mean, Spy Kids reboot in 2023 was never gonna fucking be good. Like, let's be real. Like, Spy Kids. I think what also worked is it worked in the time because it was in the early to mid aughts. I think that was when you can that kind of cheesiness could work. That cheesiness does not work in 2023, but I also don't even think it worked when they did that fourth one when that was like 2011. And I don't think it worked then either, but it definitely doesn't fucking work now. Yeah, it had the cheesiness you can get over because it was from the early to mid aughts. I think the third one was like 2007. The first one was like '01. So it's like it had that like it was still kind of you can kind of get over it. And also you at least had fun characters to follow that you can kind of get over some of the really bad, in the movie. But yeah, in this no. Anyway, that's my number 9. My number 8 is fucking um number 8 is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was of the DC flops this year. It's not the worst, obviously, because the worst is gonna be in the top when we get to it. But Blue Beetle is just so fucking bad. I do like the actor who plays Jaime. He's in karate. I meant to say Cobra Kai. He's in Cobra Kai as Miguel. Really good in that. Has some really good acting moments in that. And then this, he's just there. The fucking Susan Sarandon clearly did not give a fuck because she was just there for a paycheck. The way she would deliver lines was so over the top. She was clearly just reading the script. She's just, give me my fucking money. I'm just going to read this fucking script and just want to be done. Like, there was no effort into it. The Olmec shit looked terrible. It looked like it was almost like a terrible version of the Iron Man 1 fight, which the Iron Man 1 fight was really good, and then you get the fight in this, and it's basically a bad version of that. Very fucking woke. Like, every other line was just obnoxious race baiting. Like, and this is the biggest one from this movie that really bothered me. There was a scene where Miguel, goes to Cord Industries. Clearly there for an interview. He's in a suit, his hair is all done and all this shit. And the secretary lady assumes he's a delivery boy because, he's Mexican, so we gotta make that joke. It doesn't work because she clearly can see he's not in a suit. He's in a suit. He's not in a delivery uniform. Doesn't have a fucking package in his hand. He's clearly there for an interview. No actual person would do this. Maybe she would think it, but she wouldn't say it out loud like that. And then not apologize. Just so it was just an excuse just so they could do lines like this. A lot of lines. Like, even the scene later where her people, the Omax, invade Jaime's house, take his family, very much like an ice raid. That's what it was. That's clearly what they were fucking going for. It was just shit like that, and then the fact that it's just an uninspired movie. It was clearly like Iron Man mixed with like Spider-Man 1. And it was funny because I was reviewing the Raimi films at the time, and it clearly was just those movies. It's just a mesh of all just generic superhero origin stories, but just all rolled into one, but not in a good way. The CGI didn't look that great either. The fucking cringy Batman line, which is even cringier in context. There was no reason to call Batman a fucking fascist, but I wonder why your movie didn't do well. So, yeah, Blue Beetle is my number 8. Just going back to that line really quick. They really wrote that like this. You're telling me that yeah, the lady would have apologized. Also, I don't even buy that she would have fucking known. She was looking at him. He's in a fucking suit. He's not in a fucking delivery uniform. He doesn't have a fucking package. That should have been the hint. But no, they have to write it like that because they have to get that line out there. Doesn't matter if it makes any actual fucking sense or not. Anyway, that's my number 8. My number 7 is Transformers Rise of the Beast. This is one that I was hoping was gonna. I didn't really think was gonna be good just because of even the trailers. Just the beasts were too big. Um, Instead of going with Predacons, they went with Terracons. No Decepticons, randomly shoving fucking Unicron, who not once does he transform. You don't even really see him. He was just a fucking MacGuffin. Same with the fucking like the key thing they were looking for. Optimus Prime was done so fucking dirty. They did Optimus so fucking dirty in this. The fact that they made him hate humans, it makes no sense. The whole point of him is he's supposed to, because his name rhymes with optimism. He's supposed to be an optimist. He's supposed to be like that's the whole point of him being a counter to fucking Megatron, is that he's supposed to trust in humanity. Ugh. He was not wise in this movie. And the fact that it was Peter Cullen still doing the voice, that still pissed me off a little bit, just because it's even more like this is an Optimus Prime. And it's fucking fucked up that they basically made Optimus Prime a more fucking Optimus Prime than actual Optimus Prime. The terrible CGI, the terrible human characters you don't care for. The Force, obviously, like, racism thing in the beginning was a scene where he goes for an interview. And the boss, because, doesn't hire him because this guy has a history of being late and all that, which is documented, but then they try to make it like a race thing, and then the soundtrack was clearly like just trying to be oh guys, let's just put a 90s soundtrack together in a movie. Doesn't make any, I love a lot of those songs, but it doesn't work in this fucking movie. And then you have this fucking, I don't even know what to call it, exosuit that the main character gets in the end. I don't want to see human fight Transformers in that way. That's so cringy looking. Such a bad movie. The Terracons were wasted. It's all bad. I guess some people like the movie. I think if you don't know about the actual granted, I'm more of a Transformers casual, but I have watched Beast Wars, and I wanted to see that alive, and you don't really see it, And just to be honest, the Beast Wars should not be with regular Transformer like Gen 1. They should be separate. It doesn't even make any sense. There was no Decepticons, so you didn't really have any other secondary bad guys. They shoved fucking not Megatron, Unicron in this fucking movie. There was no reason for him to be in the movie. No Dinobots, none of that. It was such a shitty attempt just using Beast Wars. And unfortunately, there are people who like this movie, and that's fine if you do, but what I mean is it's well received, and I'm like, my opinion on it, it's like the outlier opinion on it. And it just, that's my number 5. No, number 7. Number 6 is Exorcist Believer. This is one that honestly I knew wasn't going to be good. I mean, with my title, the thumbnail for my review of that movie says it all. Our expectations were low as fuck. Our expectations were low, but holy fuck, that is how I felt. The acting was bad. The whole let's have voodoo, and then also Catholic religion, it doesn't make any sense. Because, oh, we got to do the whole voodoo thing because it was a black dude, which is like, oh yeah, Hollywood, that's not racist at all. And the the audacity, that line when they mention the patriarchy, when Father Karras and Father Merrin sacrificed themselves to save fucking Reagan in the original, and then they have a line like that. Fuck you, movie. That pissed me off. The scares weren't good. It was generic scares. It was what I predicted it was gonna be. It was the opposite of Father's, the Pope's Exorcist, where that actually tried to be a different type of exorcism movie. It wasn't just your generic exorcist movie like this was. This was just any other exorcism movie, but it tries to act like it's like the original. It was not good. The I hate the ending. Doesn't even make any sense. The funny thing is, they were trying to promote. They were promoting the white girl, the little white girl, because she clearly they were trying to have her look like she looks kind of like Reagan. That's clearly what they were going for. But ironically, she's not even the main character. And they were like, oh, we have two exorcists this time. It's like two possessed girls. I'm like, no, it works with just one. Because clearly the black girl's the main character. She's the one we're actually following, but they make it seem like you're doing two characters. It was just an all around fucking horrible film. That was an insult to the original. Definitely do not recommend it. Just watch the original and then watch Exorcist 3. I don't really remember Exorcist 2, but watch Exorcist 3. That one's good too. But yeah, do not watch this one. This one, there's no need. There was no point in even bringing fucking the mom back. She just was there to get her fucking eyes stabbed out. And then she's blind. That's it. I'm not kidding you. Her eyes get she gets attacked by the exorcist and it claws her eyes out or something like that. And she's blind. That's it. And then she's just there. That's it. They just brought her back just for that shit to happen. She doesn't. At least Laurie Strode was brought back, at least the first two Halloween movies. She was at least doing stuff. There was no point to bring the mom back at all. Ew, so fucking. And then you have her say that line. It's just. Fuck this movie. So that's my number 6. My number 5 is. Fuck, I don't know why I can't remember my number 5. Oh, stupid. Mutant Mayhem. Mutant Mayhem is my number 5. This movie never had a chance. I mean, the whole race swapped April thing, but even the cartoon did it, but she at least looked like April, in terms of they gave her still the personality. And I don't necessarily mind it in a cartoon show, because to me, I don't really look at those as canon, but in a movie, no. She's white. And the whole fake narrative, oh, she was black because she had fucking a perm, even though in the 80s everyone had a perm. But anyway. It's not just that. You had to make her fucking ugly as fuck. You had to make her fat fuck April, so where people were making April meal jokes. Why? And they argue, well, she's a teenager, which they clearly wrote her that way because you can't, they can use the excuse if you try to you're accused of sexualizing her. That's what they're doing now. They did that with, doing that with Poison Ivy in the newer one, in the new Suicide Squad Kills of Justice. They're doing the same thing there. It's a way so they could bench criticism if you try to bring up sexualization. They say, oh, she's a child, even though April was always a fucking adult. Whenever we're talking about April, we're talking about adult April. You just made her a teenager so you can do that fucking argument. But why'd you have to make her look like that? Really? And to be honest, she's the least of the movie's problems, if I'm being objective. The turtles were annoying. The movie was grating. I'll admit, I didn't see it in theaters, obviously. But I paused it a lot. Man, because I needed a break for a second. I'm how grating the movie was. The villain was cringy, Superfly, and then that fucking kaiju fight in the end was awful. And then the biggest thing for me is what they did with the same thing like what I ranted about what they did with fucking Optimus. They basically did this with fucking Splinter. They made him Jake Splinter. He hates humans. The way he learns karate is so stupid. He learns it from fucking video. And oh, let's have one of the clips be one of his movies because it was Jackie Chan doing the voice. Who I just don't think, as much as I was hoping he was gonna be good, he didn't really do it for me. And the really just both characters, Optimus and Splinter, are supposed to be some of the most wisest fucking characters, and you took their wiseness away. What they did with Splinter in this movie is fucking criminal. It is, oh my god. Splinter never hated humans. Yeah, he initially hid the turtles away because it was more like he didn't feel like they were fucking ready, but he eventually let them go. I don't even think I'm gonna ever watch a second one of this if they ever. I don't think so. I don't want to see what they'll do with Shredder because I know that's what they're gonna do next is bring in Shredder, and I don't want them touching Shredder. So I don't even think I'm gonna watch it. I'm just gonna skip it because this movie was painful as it is, and apparently they're doing an animated series based off the show too. It's like, oh, well, good luck on that. I ain't touching this shit anymore. I'll just watch the original '90s movie again, or I'll watch like the 03 cartoon. There's a lot of Ninja Turtles content I can watch that's older. I don't need to watch this new shit. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is The Little Mermaid. This was one that was for a while my number 1 of the year in terms of the worst, but there's just worse movies, and I had to bring it down just because I had to put it into perspective of this was never going to be fucking good. This was another just shitty fucking remake. I do think I will still say Lion King is worse because Lion King was just, that was an abomination. This is an abomination too, but in a different way. Halle Bailey is just not a good actress. I don't think she can pull it off. She has a good singing voice, but she's not a good actress. So we had to follow a really bad actress. They made, it's, what our genius thing we're going to do with Ariel is? We're going to make her a girl boss, because that's what they're going to do with every fucking Disney princess now. That's their whole genius fucking thing. We're going to make him a Mary Sue, and that's basically what she is. They pulled her right with her. So, she don't need no man, so there's no point of Prince Eric. There's no point of him being in the movie. He's just a fucking tag-along. The scuttlebutt scene is some of the worst. That was one of the worst, most painful things I've ever listened to. That's probably still worse in terms of that. That was just awful to listen to. Sebastian, Scuttle, Flounder were all pointless. They're just there just to be CGI animals. That's it. In the original, they had they all had personalities. Little Mermaid obviously is not one of my favorite Disney movies. I'm not really into the Disney princess ones, obviously, but I can objectively still acknowledge they're great movies. And Javier Bardem as King Triton was just not good. Melissa McCarthy is probably the only one, in a funny way, was actually the only decent one in the movie. But everything else, like the bad CGI was awful. And obviously they went the more feminist route with it. So let's have no moment where Prince Eric saved. It was a bad fucking movie. And it was dull as dog shit. I almost fell asleep watching it the first time. Ugh. Man, the things I do for videos sometimes. So. That's my number 4. Now we're into really, 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 really fucking bad territory. My number 3 is The Flash. I had to put it in perspective that the Flash was worse. The fact that they butchered such a great storyline like Flashpoint, and I would have rather them, even though it wouldn't have been a great adaptation, if they at least just attempted to do more of a instead of doing this whole multiverse shit and doing Supergirl, who, what was the point of her being in the movie? You're telling me you couldn't just get Henry Cavill to do one more movie, even if you wanted this one to be it? Do that. Just do a traditional Flashpoint movie. I'm gonna be honest. I was never down for Michael Keaton coming back. At least not in like a full on as Batman. Like if he did it like in a Batman Beyond, yes, but not in a full on he's Batman. I don't want to see him fighting as Batman. I would have rather them have just got Jeffrey Dean Morgan and did Thomas Wayne Batman. If they adapted that, I was saying this in the review, like if they adapted that, if they adapted, Atlantean versus fucking Themyscira, you have Wonder Gal Gadot still there at the time. You have Jason Momoa, do that. Ben Affleck you could have had for the opening scene. Instead of doing fucking Dark Flash, what was the fucking point of Dark Flash? You don't even see him until the end. For the most part, the real villain is Zod, who looked terrible, by the way. Oh my god. The CGI in this movie is a fucking joke. It is pathetic. Oh my god. The CGI, that opening CGI is some of the worst shit I have ever seen. And I'll be honest, I haven't watched it on like a nice screen because I watched it on my phone. And I can even then tell. But I have seen, even in the trailers, you can tell the CGI was fucking awful. It was, oh man, that CGI, the fucking babies, man, and the fucking mic, oh my god, like, that scene, you made Batman a joke again. I did like the scene with Ben Affleck's Bruce and talking to Barry. That's like probably the one scene I did like. What was the point of Supergirl? Like, there was no real reason you did. I mean, obviously I know why they did it, but it was because they gotta, we gotta do woman, not man. But it was so. The two Barrys talking to each other was some of the most painful fucking things I've ever sat through. And that final act was so awful. And then obviously when we get to the CGI fucking cameos, was what the fuck, man? That Christopher Reeve shot was fucking criminal. Like, what? And they're just standing there. And don't be wrong, it was kind of cool seeing Nick Cage, I guess. But when it's CGI, you could have actually just got Nick Cage and just put him in a Superman suit, but no. Yeah, the Flash was awful. It was overall, especially how much instead of, if they had just did the regular Flashpoint and you did that ending with fucking the Flash giving the letter to Bruce from Thomas, that would have been you would have had tears in the fucking theater. You'd have had people crying. If they actually just nailed that scene alone, even if the rest of the movie maybe isn't the greatest adaptation of Dark Knight Returns, but if they, not Dark Knight Returns, Flashpoint, I meant to say, then, you know what? If they nailed that scene, I would have fucking given them big props to the movie, but they didn't. We had to do Michael Keaton because member berries. And then introduce him that, he's not Batman anymore, so we just make him look like a fucking disheveled hippie, even though he would still be working at Wayne Manor, even Wayne Enterprises, I meant to say. Yeah, he'd be working at Wayne Enterprises, even if he retired as Batman. I mean, even in the show, they show you that. In the animated series, when in Batman Beyond, he's still working at Wayne Enterprises. Yeah, he's at the house a lot. He's at Wayne Manor a lot, but he still does do shit at Wayne Enterprises. So it makes no sense. He would still be doing business shit. He wouldn't just be fucking disheveled. Ugh, so bad. It's an embarrassing movie. The fact that you have a movie like from like 2014, or even like the Quicksilver scene from, even though the movie isn't good, X-Men Apocalypse visually looks better, and that's from 7 years ago. Like, come on. Yeah, the Flash is atrocious, man. That's easily one of DC. It is tied with probably Wonder Woman 84 as two of my worst DC films ever made. Like, if I'm being honest, because those did have promise. At least the Flash did. I think the Flash, if they had just did Flashpoint for the most part, adapted it, it would have done better. Even if it's not, you didn't have the build up and all that, it still would have been a good movie if you just adapted that. But no. Anyway, that's my number three. My number two is technically is 1B, if I'm being honest, because what they did at Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny is some of that was sad to watch. Just watch Indy just be degraded. That opening scene where he was just, even though it wasn't, he didn't say it, but it had that same fucking energy. Get off my lawn, because he was banging on the door because the neighbors were being loud. It was the scene where the fucking students weren't taking him seriously. Fucking Phoebe doesn't take him. No one takes him seriously. You made Indy a joke, and why I titled my review "Weekend at Indy's" because it was Weekend at Bernie's, but bad. The character's not dead, but you might as well just be carrying around a fucking corpse and just shitting on it, because that's what the whole fucking movie was. That opening scene, a lot of people try to give it props, but it looked terrible. Indy with a fucking old man Indy, young Indy with old man Indy voice still doesn't work. Harrison Ford clearly didn't give a shit. And Phoebe Waller's Bridge is one of the worst characters ever. She was so annoying. She was unlikable. Ugh. And you have her, that ending. And then let's waste Mads Mikkelsen as a good villain, by the way. Mads Mikkelsen in any other timeline probably would have been a good Indiana Jones villain. Because I think he's a good villain actor in general. I mean, fucking James Bond. So, Hannibal, the Hannibal show. But yeah, it's like, he's a great actor. He plays great villains, but you do fuck all with him in this. He's a joke. It was such an awful movie, Indiana Jones 5. It was torture watching this. It was, like I said, it was defiling Indy. He just felt like he got shit on. Oh yeah, he's divorced too. Again, he was divorced again. And people try to argue, oh, but you had the scene with Marion in the end. I'm like, you already did that in the fourth movie. You just broke them up just so you could do an awful version of that scene you already fucking did in the last one. Fuck Indy 5, man. I'm happy it flopped. Just what they did to that character. You just brought him back just so you could do that shit. That is like Rise of Palpatine, Last Jedi level. What they did with that character in that. It's borderline almost worse than... I was going to say it's worse than Han Solo, but Han Solo did become a deadbeat dad, and basically all his accomplishments in the original trilogy don't matter anymore. So yeah, Han is still worse, but Indy is close though. That was just pathetic. At least, I know people don't like Indy 4, but at least he gets married. He has a nice ending with Marion. And then you just fuck that ending up just so you can try to make setup like, oh, baby, they'll get back to me. You already did that just so you can do that again, but badly. Fuck Indy 5, man. Yeah, this movie, even now, still pisses me off. Ugh. And even though I didn't pay for it, it was still awful to watch. And it was funny because a better version, at least somewhat of some of the similar things that this movie does, but better, was Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. You have like not a protege, but Haley Atwell's character is somewhat similar. There's a couple times she fucks over Ethan, but she ultimately still a likable character. And Ethan was still a badass. He didn't feel like he was being brought down. I'm going to talk about that more when we get to, because that's going to be my best movie of the year list. But yeah, it's frustrating to me what they did with this movie. And then you should have just did the whole Atlantis thing. You already kind of clearly could tell they were probably going that direction, but then they abandoned it. So anyway, let's get to my number one. my number one is Expendables 4. This was one I was actually really. This is why this is my number one. Ultimately, you could argue Indy 5. I mean, is probably a worse movie, and what they do to Indy is still worse. So, in that sense, yes, I do think it's worse. But there was never a chance of it being good like that. This could have been good. Because it's funny, because this came out like a month after the Meg 2, which I had a lot of fun with. Not objectively a great movie, but I liked it. And then, what you do in this? Because you have the same actor, Jason Statham, and I was really hyped for this because they were like, you know what, we're gonna make it R rated again. We made a mistake making the third one PG-13. Though they were marketing it well, they were like, oh, that's like okay, they're actually learning. It seemed like they learned a lesson, and then nope, you fucking take Stallone out in the dumbest fucking way possible just to fake his death. You have Andy Garcia act like he's like the new, Bruce Willis's character from the other movies, just so you can do a fucking fake reveal he's the villain, when he probably should have just been the villain from the fucking get-go. As much as I love Dude from the Raid, he should not have been he's not an actor who plays a villain. He should have been one of a new member of the team. And that's actually the other problem I have with this movie. The team dynamic is so fucking bad. That's one of the strongest things about the other Expendables movies, was that the team dynamic. I love the banter. You don't have that here. No Terry Crews. Dolph Lundgren's just there, but there's no one to banter with because none of the besides Randy Couture, but they didn't really lean on that. Christmas and Barney do have some decent banter in the beginning, but because obviously you know what happens with fucking Barney's character, he's gone for a lot of it, so you don't have that. The new girl, the Whiplash or something, I think is what her name was. She was all right, but she would have worked better as the Megan Fox character. 'Cause Megan Fox, she is what really bogs this movie down. She's not an action actress. I don't hate Megan Fox. She's not a fucking action actress. The fact that they're trying to make her one, why the fuck was she? I always did have reservations when she was cast in this movie, just because it's like she's not an action actress. Even the other girl who's the Whiplash something, the other girl, she works better. She would have worked better in that role than fucking her. Or you should have got try to get Michelle Rodriguez. You could have tried to get fucking trying to think of another action actress. The chick from the Deadpool movies, even she can work in action because she's somewhat done them. But get someone who's done action flicks. Ugh. It was such a bad fucking movie. The fact it was mostly on green screen, it was like Jeepers Creepers 4 bad, where a lot of it was just bad CGI. Then a lot of the kill scenes, which looked kind of cool, you kind of saw them in the trailer. I wasn't really wowed because it was like, oh yeah, I saw a lot of these in the fucking trailer. I was so disappointed. I felt betrayed. That's why I put that title when I reviewed the original. When I reviewed it originally, because that's what this was to me. I was expecting, I wasn't expecting cinema, obviously. The Expendables movies were never that. The first two I thought were actually really good. 3 was good, but they fucked up with the PG-13 release. But Mel Gibson was a great villain. I think he's the best villain of the movies. And also, the team dynamic was still there, even with some of the newer team. And then you don't have any of the carryover team from the last movie. You just bring in these random new people, and they just do not match. 50 Cent just doesn't work. He was kind of just playing himself. And the action was bad. I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was just, like I said, the kills, you saw a lot of in the fucking trailer. So it just doesn't matter. And yeah, the CGI is horrible. It is paying off. Obviously, it's green screen bad. It's 2023, and we're getting shit like this. You write Stallone out of the movie just to have him come back in the fucking plane. and then have, I guess, somewhat a decent moment with the two in the end with him and Christmas. But even Christmas couldn't carry the movie, and I love Jason Statham. He couldn't carry this movie. He just couldn't. I was thinking this was gonna be in the realm of the Meg. I really was. I thought this was gonna be like dumb fun. I wasn't expecting anything great. Just some cool kills, some fun banter, and one-liners from some of the stars. And nope, I got was a piece of shit movie that I'm happy it flopped, because this is another one of those that like they did a bait and switch. You made it seem like Stallone was gonna be in the whole movie, and all of it. The one scene I guess that was all right was the bar fight where him and Christmas go to the bar to get his ring back. That was cool, but aside from that, the rest of the movie just wasn't there. Even like you wasted my dude from the raid. He should have been a member of the team, not a fucking villain. He's not a villain actor. Some actors just cannot do it, and I think they fucked up by trying to make him a villain. It just didn't work. All around, it's just a pile of shit movie. Fuck this movie. I would say skip it. Just watch Expendables 1 through 3. And 3, watch like the unrated cut. But yeah, just watch the first 3 Expendables. You do not need to watch this one. At least the other 3, you have the actual team dynamic there. You don't have that here. So anyway. Yeah, guys, there was a lot of shit this year, but I cannot wait for Sunday because I actually will be able to talk about movies I like. Because apparently it's bad to make these lists now because all these guys work hard on these movies, guys. They worked hard on The Flash. They totally worked hard on The Flash. They totally worked hard on Little Mermaid. You're really gonna have me believe they worked hard on fucking Expendables 4 with the CGI looking like that? At least in the other fucking Expendables movies, they're fucking outside. This was a case like they weren't fucking outside. It was, oh my god, it was painful. You're really gonna tell me they fucking worked hard on that? Yeah, I'm gonna make worse lists, but I do make best lists. I'll actually be able to talk about stuff I like. Because I think there was a lot of good this year. I would even say up until like May, I thought there was at least there was more good than bad movies. Only at that time, the only disappointing thing was really 65. Everything else was largely pretty good to decent, decent to really good, like with John Wick. And then obviously, I still think there's been some good this year, even through all the shit. Because there was a lot of it. And I do like roasting bad movies that deserve it. That's why I was happy that Expendables flopped. Indiana Jones flopped. The Flash flops. I'm happy my top 3 pretty much all flopped. Because they all deserved it. Expendables 4 wanted just to bait and switch you. Make it seem like you're going to get an Expendables movie. And you just fucking didn't. So, I honestly don't want another Expendables movie. Unless... Okay. If they were like to do an Expendables 5, you do not bring the person who did this movie back. That is the biggest thing. Do not bring who did this back. Fire them. And do not bring him back for the next one. Go get actual actors this time. Try to get the original actors back. Maybe even try to get some of the actors from the third movie back. I mean, even if you have to, fucking Rhonda, whatever. But get some, like, legit action stars and bring back some of the actual cast, and maybe this movie could actually work. But aside from that, yeah, this is a bait switch, and it deserved to flop, so. But yeah, guys, I can't wait. Tomorrow, I'll figure out what I'm going to do. I was going to do that video on stream. I don't think I'm going to do a whole video on it now. I feel like we're kind of way past the time to talk about it, so I'll figure something to talk about. If not, I just won't do a video tomorrow, and I'll just come back. Unless I do my video... No, because then I'm not going to have the problem will arise. I won't have anything to do Sunday, so I might just... We'll see. I'll figure out what I'll do tomorrow. But alright, y'all. It was fun roasting these really bad fucking movies that deserved it. But anyway, guys, cheers and talk to y'all tomorrow. to y'all later.